Take one. The Grooming of Bella.
With the black
February 4th, 2006. With Master Groomer Chris Levy. Those in attendance, Jan Herron, Alexa Maris, and our videographer, Kristen Coppola.
And Bella's trying to leave.
Okay. I usually start with the head, just because it's the first thing that's looking at me. She's got a knot under her chin.
Oh.
So, the thing that's important about the Pumi is they're supposed to have a very slight stop right here, and she does. So what we do is we groom to accent that. And in other words, you want a straight line going right up here. So that's what I start with usually first. Stay.
And it goes without saying she needs to be kind of locked in like you have her with this little piece of equipment.
Yes. Now she's being really good. Her sister Whimsy, I had quite a time with because Whimsy didn't want me doing this to her.
Whimsy was always the rebel.
Yes.
You were such a good
careful.
girl.
Don't want to do anything to your eye here. Okay. So what I'm doing is just creating that straight line this direction.
What a good girl.
Good. She's going to be a movie star.
Good Bella. Good
Isn't she
dog.
pretty?
Good dog.
What a good girl.
Okay. Then you want the hair fairly close on the cheeks.
Closer on the cheeks than on the top, Chris?
It's not a matter of the length on the top. It's a matter of getting the straight line.
Okay.
So, because if you truly were concerned about the length, you would be going this way and then up and then over.
And following
so
the
you're
contours.
following the contours of the head. So here, you're just trying to get the straight line. Here, you want to start out, her hair's only, oops, there's a long one, about a ½ inch long. If you pulled it out, it's not that,
Good girl.
it's not that deep. So you want it fairly close. The other thing is, if you have it close here, it accentuates when her ears stand up.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do this side. Be sure you don't want to get her the little lobe on her ear, so you have to be really careful about that. Stay.
She might not be so cooperative next time.
Right. So
And
here
you're
I'm
using
just,
pretty big shears, too. That's
I
interesting.
wouldn't advise most people use this big of shears. You can make, you can get a lot done, but you can make really big mistakes too. I think 8-inch shears are good.
Okay.
These are 10-inch. And I groomed with 8-inch for most of my grooming until I was given these by a friend from Japan, and I've never used anything since.
Good dog. Good
Okay,
dog.
so then you want to even out her eyes a little bit, so there's little hairs sticking out. And you want to still leave, you know, at least a ½ inch of hair around her eyes. You don't want to get real close. What was it? Somebody else groomed their dog, and I saw it later, and they cut the hair short all around the eyes, and you kind of lose the look.
It was Bosco, I think you said.
Is that what it was?
You said
They
his
trimmed it out
picture.
on his eyes and left too much on his muzzle.
Yeah.
Okay. Now there's a tendency for a lot of groomers to want the schnauzer look. Okay. So when I'm telling people how to groom schnauzers, I say you want the
Schnauzers want a
straight
straight
out
line
in a
like
straight
this.
line like
Okay.
this. Okay. On a Pumi, you do not want that straight line. You want some of this hair on the muzzle trimmed. So what we're going to do is trim some of it so that you end up with a little bit more of a wedge shape coming down from the eye.
So closer in above the eye, a little more left on the muzzle.
Well, what you're doing is you're shaping it
Uh-huh.
to be a blunt wedge, really. You want it straight across here, and then you want it coming in, rather than like a schnauzer.
There, I just
You
got
want it coming in like this. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah, so schnauzers on the side have sort of what you were doing on top. It's all one
Yes,
thing.
it's all one length.
But Pumis
and
have that on the top, but not on the
schnauzers want
side.
a rectangle, so they want two straight sides like this.
Shoebox
But the
head.
Pumis, yeah, a shoebox, or like some of the terriers say, a brick.
Yeah.
Did you get this? I want you to see the profile on her head too and see how straight that is.
Mm-hmm.
Now we'll do more between her ears. It'll round off a little bit. But you want that straight look.
Good fella, good fella.
What a good girl you are.
Good girl.
She's going to be a movie star.
And even if those guys don't do it themselves, they can take this to
Their groomer.
groomers,
Right,
which would help.
right. Okay, so what we're doing is we're just cutting it a little bit shorter all around. Okay,
And we're gonna
then
do
you
this to
want
Birch.
about, I'd say 3/4 of an inch to an inch of hair on the chin. So can you see here,
Mm-hmm.
it goes straight out, and there's about probably 3/4 of an inch right there.
Yeah.
Again, a straight line.
Oh, Bella. Here, I can move over for this now.
So she has a little beard.
Just a little bit.
Oh, Bella, you
Okay.
look so pretty.
So the hair's, the head's coming, you can see the head through the hair.
Hi, baby.
Okay, so now, between the ears, you want to have it fairly short because you want to emphasize the ears standing up. If you had lots of hair, they look like the ears are kind of going off to the
They're
sides.
buried.
Right. So what we're going to do is trim the hair shorter in between the ears. And then even that out with the straight line. So you will end up with a little bit of a curve up here, but you want straight here and then to have it start curving a little bit that direction.
Good girl. Good girl.
Okay, then behind the ears,
Hang on, Bella. Hold on, little
Still.
tomato.
stay. You want it fairly short because when you think about it, this is where the lead is going to go when you're working with them, and you don't want a lot of hair around there. So right around the base of the ears, it should be fairly short. And then find where the back of her head is. This is her occiput right here. Then what you want to do is stop it. Stop the hair on her head at that point, okay? Because then her neck will take off from there.
Isn't she just gets all
And
the
now
same
that the
thing
leash
other
is off
side?
of her, the noose is off of her throat, I'm going to trim the hair short. Now the hair should be, of all the places, for her hair to be short, it should be the shortest on her throat.
So the head stands out more then?
It gives a better look to the neck. You don't want a really thick neck, and so you want that fairly short.
Plus, then it's just not all wadded up under the collar.
Well, that and yes, and it will get matted fairly easily too. Okay, now the nature of Pumi hair is that every time it moves, it sort of goes a different direction. So she'll look great when you get through grooming her, and then 5 minutes later you will have roughed up her hair, and then it looks different. And there's a tendency, yes, to want to continue to constantly fix it, but that you have to understand that that's just sort of the nature of Pumis. They're going to look a little bit unkempt just because their hair is...
They're Pumis.
Because they're
Good girl.
Pumis, right.
Good girl.
Okay, now, they do need to have the hair pulled out of their ears, and some take to it better than others. The other thing, this is a recent trick that I've learned, is you don't want any hair on the inside of the ear at all, because that gives them, it looks like the ears go up farther. If you have a lot of hair inside, it'll, number one, hold the ear down, and number two, look like they're not going very far up. So for a lot of years when I started grooming, I had all this hair hanging down here, but it really looks better if you don't have hair. So I tend to cut this fairly short, and you can see the difference.
You look higher already.
Yeah, I mean it just looks higher. She's not putting her ears up very well, but you want to cut a lot of that out. Okay, so let's do
She's
this
such a
side.
good girl.
You really are. Very good girl.
That's what I mean. She's a very mellow little dog.
And then you just want to kind of trim the edges in kind of a round look.
Follow the line of the ear, but a little closer in.
Actually, I leave a little bit more on the outside here and make it rounder. The ear is more of a pointed ear.
You round it out with the fur.
And I round it
Got
out
it.
with the fur.
Okay.
Oh, Bella.
And quite often I've used thinning shears. I think that because, as I said, the nature of their hair, it gets mussed up easily. It doesn't look scissored within about 5 minutes. Okay. See how that looks?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I've found is if you take too much hair off of here, they look like their ears are going out to the side. They have more of the Yoda look. So you don't want to take too much hair. That's one of the things I did when I first started. I took hair way over to the edges.
I'm glad you said that because I was thinking that she
No, I
needed to
would
get those
leave
little
that,
snippets
yes,
and I see you
and
left
it
them.
makes a little bit higher, ears looks a little higher there
Okay.
than, because you want the ears coming out. I mean, hers are very good, but if you can actually make a dog with a good ear set look like it's bad if you cut too much off of here.
Okay, so
Okay.
this stuff sort of stays. Okay.
Right.
Hi, pretty girl.
And then I found that stuff like this that is going to stick up in front of her eyes, I just take off. See, I've already cut that off of there.
Is it my imagination or is she taking this pretty well?
Oh, she's taking it very well.
Good. So
Okay.
you got to keep her used to it.
This hair
is
should be
sort of her
for her.
personality,
Yeah,
though.
she's just going to trim that.
goes
Goes
with
with the flow.
She just wades in there with those big scissors. Hack.
You can take as long to do this as you want, but
Things to do, places to go.
well, I've been doing this for 30 years, so hair doesn't scare me. Now, if I was given a standard poodle, it might scare me, but not a Pumi.
I like it when the hair is shorter on the neck too because you see the muscularity of the dog and if they're an athlete.
Right.
It's cool.
Well, you know what? They're easier to keep clean too.
Okay, now the thing you have to be careful about when a dog sits, sometimes their chest stands out. And I've learned this the hard way. If you trim too much down here, then they stand up and they're all hollowed out in between. So at this point now, I'm going to make her stand up so that I get her done correctly. Okay. See, I probably did take just a teeny bit too much right there. Okay, so now basically the rest of the Pumi is fairly standard for just a basic dog trim. I would say Kerry bluish maybe, so that they have a certain amount all the way around. And of course you remember that you don't ever trim them after you've combed them. You trim them
When they're curly.
after they've been bathed, when they're all curled back up again. You also find that they don't need a lot of hair trimmed on their legs. They just don't seem to grow it that much. And you want to trim the hair so that it looks like their legs are straight, which of course they're supposed to be. So for instance, if you left a whole bunch of hair here, she'd look like her elbows were sticking out. So you want, if you look from the front,
straighter.
yeah, you can see the difference between the two. If you still, there you go. But you see, you just want just a little post right there.
There's a strange black spot there.
Look at that.
You gonna zoom in on the black spot?
Absolutely.
Kristen's gonna show it off. That's
It's a wool.
so why don't we say this, since other people are going to be using this video, that she got a cut, right? And they shaved it there, and her hair came in black. But it'll grow out, and it'll turn silver again. Actually,
Or not.
Bedlingtons do that.
Oh, do they?
Uh-huh.
Are they born black?
Yes, they are.
Are they really?
Or liver, actually. There's two color varieties, either black or liver. Or blue, I should say, or liver. And
Good girl, Bella. Good girl.
now, Alexa, you know what you're doing? Is you're standing clear over there and saying good girl. So you stand over here.
For those of you watching the tape,
Yeah.
I was bad.
The owner should always stand in front of the dog.
So that she's not trying to turn around and twisting and
That's right.
making lumps.
Yes, that's very easy for her to turn at the last minute and take a chunk out that you didn't mean to take out.
So, you've just let Alexa off the hook for grooming this dog.
No, not necessarily.
Good thing Kristen's making the video. Did.
Okay. Now, the next thing you want to do is the top line. And what they're supposed to have is a neck that comes down, and then it should go straight across. Now, whether it goes straight across or not actually is irrelevant to the grooming. Okay? Because you cut straight across.
So it'll look straight.
Right.
Cool.
So the top line is really what she actually has. You don't want it to say you're ½ inch all over everywhere. You're kind of doing any corrective grooming you might need to do by saying that it goes straight across.
But
Now
it's
make
like
sure
her
you don't go
face.
like this and hold her up and then cut. You do want to make sure she's standing naturally. There you go. Okay.
So this is sort of like the forehead straight.
Right.
This is straight also. Right. And what I found is that most Pumis have a bit of an arch right in here. I personally think it's a lot of the hounds have that arch, and the dogs that are bred for running, and the very athletic ones tend to have that
Virgie
arch.
does that. I saw that.
And right, and I just do think at least every Pumi I've ever seen seems to have that.
It's for running faster because
Right.
when their back bends there, their strides are longer because they overreach further
Right.
with their back feet in front of their front feet. It's how borzois and cheetahs
Yep.
run
Exactly.
and how they achieve such incredible speeds. And we know Bella can run fast.
Bella's starting to lose her patience, I think. Okay, then what at the withers, you just want to transition.
Good girl.
You know.
Good girl. Are the withers a little longer?
Dogs got
A
withers
little
too.
bit. Yeah, they do. They do. And it depends on the dog, you know, how long you make it. Because really, what you're really grooming is an outline. You don't really care what's under the dog. You're grooming to have the perfect dog in hair. So you're sculpting is what you're doing.
That's a really helpful way to think about it. You can
Is that
really
why
visualize.
judges sometimes will feel a dog so
You
carefully?
bet. You bet. They're getting under that hair.
Now that makes sense. Oh, Bella, does that
Especially
make
like
sense?
with the standard poodles and stuff. You can't. There's very little you
Who
can
knows
tell
where their
without
hips
getting your-
really are,
That's
right.
right. Well, actually, on
Okay.
the show poodles, you can tell where their hips are because they're bald. But
What was that dog I was
But it's
thinking
the
of?
shoulders.
Oh, the little miniature, was it the bearded collie or the little miniature Shelties that, not Shelties, border collies that were with Tom when we went to...
the mini Australian
the
shepherds.
mini Australian Shepherds.
Right.
Yeah, and she was teasing the hair.
You bet.
On
Because
the,
the handlers are going to spend hours trying to fool the judges who have 2 minutes to figure out everything the handler just did.
there was a lot of hairspray involved.
In the mini Aussies, really. Gosh. I hope Pumis never ever get to that point.
I hope they never get frou-frued.
Right. And
I
well,
like that they're
and
not
poorly
frou-frou.
bred,
yes.
and where they have all sorts of health problems and everything else.
Of
Yeah.
course, that must be exciting for you because it's sort of a clean slate here. I mean, with care and being careful, you can give the breed a really good start.
Right. And that's I'm excited about it because I feel with all of my years of experience, all I can do is just help the breed, you know,
Yeah.
come in gently into AKC and get a good solid start.
And they are such durable, tough.
And we want to keep them that
Survivors.
way, Bella Stay. We want to keep them that way.
So now the hair on the body is all going to be about the same length
It's
once
about
you
the
get
same
below
length. It really is.
below
yeah.
the neck and above the legs.
Mm-hmm. And the Hungarians have told me they never want the belly shaved. Now, why that is, I don't know. But we've never...
Except just before they have puppies.
Yeah, except just before they have puppies.
Tom-
And actually, they
Tom-
tend to lose a
Tom-
lot of it
they-
anyway,
Tom
just
sent,
before they have puppies.
Virgie home. He insisted on shaving her that night because he thought she was going to have puppies right away, and sure enough, that night she had puppies.
So with the rear, you're basically doing the same thing, just a certain length. But you need to sort of have the picture of what your ideal dog is. That helps. But it's pretty much the same length all around. Okay. Now with the tail, the first inch or so of the tail, stand up, Bella, is short. So we're going to trim that short. And the point, and also on the inside, we're going to trim that to be a little short too. Because what you want, when the tail comes up, is you want to see daylight in here. Okay.
Oh yeah, and we're not even
Oh,
close
yeah.
to that right now.
So, well, yeah, you're seeing a little bit.
I see a little bit.
But if you take some of this hair out,
Then we'll see
then
the
you'll see the
daylight.
daylight. Right. So we'll trim a little bit of that there. Okay.
So short, sort
That's-
of
I
at the
see
base of
daylight.
the tail.
Right.
But nothing off the bottom, right? Except right at
The
the
bottom,
base.
right at the base, right.
And that's
Okay.
mostly just for cleanliness.
And here, yes, you're taking it for cleanliness. And this and the neck are the places where it's really short. And you also want to groom to make sure it looks like the dog has the highest tail set possible. Okay, the other things the Hungarians say is that you don't want their genitals showing.
You do
So
not.
you do not want it.
They're
Even on the
modest-
males, you don't want the
modest dogs.
testicles showing. On the bitches, you don't want the vulva showing. So what we do is we leave a little bit of extra hair here so that you don't
It's a
see it.
discreet
For
breed.
modesty.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
it's
I like
modesty. Because it's curly, you don't always get everything, so I kind of tend to pull it up and see what's hiding there in this part, you know, because you want all of this short in here.
Oh, that was a good girl.
Okay, now you want it fairly short on the back of the legs.
Here, Jan, you're right. Even losing the hair, she's bigger.
Oh yeah, she is bigger.
In fact, this is great because you really can see that little body that's under there. They're so
Yeah,
beautiful.
doesn't she look
Yeah, first, I
leggier?
love the build of the Pumi. I just love the way the dog looks.
Okay, if you look at the dog from the rear, you again want straight legs. So what we're going to do is groom, and she doesn't need much, but you're going to groom this to go straight up and around. and straight back down again. Okay, if you want to look from the back, you can see how the inside is all straight now. We're going to trim a little bit around the base here. Mostly right at the base of the foot. You don't want that getting all dirty. And then even that out. Okay. And then on the outside, you want pretty much a straight line too. Just going right down there. Because you don't want them to look like they got crooked legs. Keep finding more hair. Okay. She's definitely got hair, don't you, Bella?
Well, you want to
Okay. And we're going to trim on this side.
It really evens out her color more.
It does. She was looking quite light
Yeah.
where the hairs got longer. I guess they got bleached. You know, her other mom is standing behind her now. Oops. She wants to see her other mom.
Because you want to see your other mom.
Okay, they have a little bit, they go in a little bit at the loin here, and you want to reflect that in the
At
grooming.
least
Yeah,
two.
that's a nice look.
Well, Kristen too.
You don't want it cut out, but you know, you want it to look
Defined.
defined. That's good.
Look at that good girl. Look at good girl. What's that black spot? Look like a giant mole.
It's her beauty mark.
So you don't go too short underneath, huh?
No, not at all.
But it looks like you're creating that line on the body. You can see her torso. Or
Yeah. We're not scissoring, I mean, we're not clipping underneath, but we are keeping it fairly short so it goes, you can see the chest and then you can see where it comes up. Okay, almost done.
Oh, so pretty.
they have a muscular actually. They have babies going on.
Don't know.
They're strong. You cannot believe if they want to pull on a leash how hard these little dogs can pull. Bella and Virgie together on a leash, when they're trying to pull away from me, can just about take me down the road. In fact, you might get a cart for her and drive her down the road. You could ride.
Stay there, Bella.
Good girl,
Hang in there, girl. You're doing good.
Yes, you are.
You're a good girl.
Excellent.
Just easing
I
out
bet
the
your mother
legs.
won't be this good.
Oh, Virgie is good.
Is she good?
Yeah. They don't have much choice in the noose, you know. Okay, and you don't want the hair on the tail to get too long. I think the standard says 5 to 7, or the grooming instructions, 5 to 12 centimeters. So, but they also say you can just kind of tip off the edges.
Sort of
Like
like what
that.
you did with the ears, but longer.
Yeah, right. And I found with the Pumis, every dog's ears are different, so you kind of have to groom them a little bit, each one a little bit differently too.
Uh-oh.
And
We found a long
if they need it,
corner.
you can trim around the bottoms of the feet. I haven't found they need it very much. I rarely do it, unless maybe I'm getting one for show, ready for show, but even then, I don't
We
think
have a
they need it
spring
that
right
much.
here, Chris.
Oh, we got one of those curly ones
We got
that
a
got away
Springer.
from us. A Springer. Oh, we got a, yep, we got a curl that got away from us.
And you're right, they show up you know, continually after you.
That's right. They do.
At least we know she'll never need a perm.
That's true. Okay.
What a good
We have a
girl.
beautiful Pumi.
What a good girl.
She's completely
Butcher Bear, she's
cleaned
done.
with scissors. We don't need
Yep.
to use the other little.
Nope. No, that's for outs once you. Okay. Why don't you, Tom, call her. So what you do
Tom?
first is you comb the
Call
dog,
Bella.
get them all
over.
fuzzy, run the stripping rake through them, pull out quite a bit of hair
Through everywhere.
through everywhere, not the head
Not the
and
head.
not the leg. I do the legs actually a little bit too.
Not the
Then bathe them, let them air dry and curl all back up again, and this is when you do the scissoring. Much growing in her ears, but you have to just pull
And then
the
we have
hair
a
out of the
beautiful
ears.
Pumi.
Is that all you have to say for yourself, Virgil?
That's it. That was it.
That was it?
She hardly has any. Excuse me. Let's
Oh,
do the other
Virg.
one.
So you're all on the outside. You're obviously not going
Yep.
in the air.
We're going in about probably half an inch.
No more than
The ear canal goes down this way and then into the head. So if you always face downwards, you won't get the eardrum,
Let alone the brain.
let alone the brain. No, you'd have to get through the eardrum to get to the brain.
Oh, bird.
Yeah. So
This hurts
that's
me
it.
more than